Welcome to another vlog, and welcome to February. It is February 1st, 2013, and Sir Owen Disney is here with your TNA Impact recap for last evening. Before I get started, I want to tell you about something that I've been thinking about for quite a while, and I think I'm actually going to go through with it. Now, what I'm going to do is, I was looking for another day for content. A regular content, and something came to my mind, and I'm pretty sure this is actually going to happen. Actually, I know. I'll turn on the lights here with my elbow. There we go. I know it's going to happen, but I don't know what day yet. Now, this year, and for pretty much every year, AJ does movie reviews. Now, he has been doing actual reviews on his laptop. So, I'm going to give him some time. I'm going to give him one of my shows each week to talk about movies and movies that he liked and didn't like for the week. But AJ doesn't want to come on because AJ doesn't want to be on the internet, and I can understand that. So, he's going to give me a write-up. And in sheer journalistic fashion, I'm going to read it word for word verbatim. So AJ's movie reviews are coming to this YouTube channel. I don't know what day yet. I haven't quite decided. It might end up being like possibly Sunday, or it could be a Saturday thing. Not Saturday thing, but it might be a Sunday. It might be a Monday. It could be a Wednesday, it could be a Thursday. I haven't quite decided yet. So, once I figure that out, we'll go with that. Excuse me. It's like totally like in the teens right now. And we're supposed to get more snow. So, that's not something I'm looking forward to. But I'm pacing around my house to tell you this, that AJ is getting his own segment on the YouTube channel. So that's coming up soon. As soon as I get my first recap from him. And we just got done today, a couple hours ago, watching the movies. Warm Bodies is really, really good. Really well done movie. Very much enjoyable. Very entertaining for every single reason. Very funny, very smart. The right way for Summit Entertainment to do a vampire movie. A zombie movie, any sort of occult style movie. And this is basically taking the story of Romeo and Juliet and then taking Shaun of the Dead and then mixing them in a blender, and you get greatness. And it was awesome. And I know I totally didn't want to see Bullet to the Head because I thought it was going to be really over the top. Wasn't over the top as much as I thought it was. It was a very brutal action flick. Very much enjoyed seeing Jason Momoa get the daylights beat out of him after that horrible Conan remake he did. And Stallone did a great job, I gotta say. And in his small role, Christian Slater, it's nice to see him back on the silver screen again. So, this is my TNA Impact recap. We are, of course, at 411mania.com. And basically, we started the show live. Of course, we're in Manchester, England, live to tape. We started the show with basically my favorite tag team in the business right now. The Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, and Frankie Kazarian, Bad Influence, basically came out dressed up like William Wallace in Braveheart. Their faces were painted half blue, and they were wearing kilts, and basically Kazarian did that because it's Throwback Thursday, and they're throwing all the way back to the 13th century. So the Scots are the true warriors of England, and of course that got a lot of heat right there. Very, very cheap heat. So basically Daniels said he understands the crowd booing, and that the only reason why is because they're disappointed Christopher Daniels did not win the TNA World Heavyweight title from Jeff Hardy last week before they went over to the UK. Now, the toxic face paint was Daniels' excuse why he lost. Brilliant, brilliant move, Chris. Brilliant. Kazarian did save his life, giving him a shot so he could live to tell about it. Definitely not Daniels' last chance to be a champion, and that's what he said, but it's also my answer too. I think Christopher Daniels will become World Heavyweight Champion finally sometime in 2013. Whether it's a traditional title, a transitional championship or not, remains to be seen. But Daniels is going to be World Champion. It's going to happen, mark my words. So basically, he said he's going to bring the title, after he wins the title, he's going to bring it back to this rotten country. And he said there's nothing easier than beating the English. Of course, what this means was the official return of Brutus Magnus. Magnus comes out to a huge pop from the crowd to defend his home country. He basically says his theory on why Daniels isn't World Heavyweight Champion is because Hardy beat him like he owed him money. And Magnus called Bad Influence a couple of disrespectful Muppets in need of a good slap. And if they want to fight an Englishman, they can fight him. Daniels shoves Magnus. 2-on-1 attack begins. Then Magnus fights back and knocks Daniels and Cass to the floor. So, they powder to the floor. Magnus basically says it's an honor and privilege to be there and entertain his home fans. And it was taken from him many months ago when Aces and Eights jumped him and put him out on the shelf. So he calls out Devon, who of course is the television champion, in a non-title match for the first match of Open Fight Night. So that's fine. Alright, let's go to the match. Not bad. It was a decent match for what it was. Nice to see Magnus back in the ring, and I'm very much hoping that Magnus ends up staying with the company. I know there were whispers that Magnus was going to leave TNA. I really hope he stays. And I think there's money to be made with Magnus back in the main event picture again. I think, given what happens later on in the show, I think he would make well to go back to his tag team partner, Samoa Joe. And I think they should reform their tremendous tag team. And I think that will happen down the road. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Basically, Magnus hits clothesline and clothesline, duck the clothesline, high knee lift, Triple H spot, very nice. Running clothesline, and the crowd was getting into it. Hits his Michinoku driver, and Doc and Knox hit the ring. And, of course, a masked member of Aces and Eights, and that ends the match. I mean, for what it wasn't bad. I mean, it was kind of overall disappointing. It could have been a lot better. But given the fact it's Magnus' first match back, you got to do something to showcase him. And he basically, Devon bumped like a pinball for him. So that was fine. He's still the television champion. You got to think that maybe Magnus will get a title shot for the title that he lost way back before he got injured. Somewhere down the road. So the crowd was really into this match, obviously because Magnus is the hometown boy, and it worked really fine. So, Joseph Park comes out, and once again, to this awesome LA Law knockoff music that I'm enjoying. Stephen J. Cano on line 1, he wants his theme song back. But I'm digging Joseph Park. I really like it. I like it a lot better than the Abyss character, and it's totally growing on me. But it really hasn't had to grow on me because I've liked it from day one. And I do like the fact that Joseph Park, the character, is a rookie. And he is just breaking into the business, and he's making rookie mistakes. And this is a total good gimmick right now for Chris Park, the person, because he is really making fans believe that don't really know that they're the same person. I'm pretty sure that's everyone. Spoiler alert. Making them believe that he's really a rookie and not someone who's been in the business for many years. But he puts over the Manchester crowd. He says they're wild and crazy, and of course they go nuts for it. He scouted hours upon hours of video, and he has his notebook with him to make his copious notes to decide who he was going to face and call out on Open Fight Night. Robbie E and Robbie T hit the ring. Basically says, they come out, and Park says, I didn't pick you. I didn't pick you. And Robbie E says, the last thing you are is a wrestler, bro. He calls Park a hamster, just like everyone else in the United Kingdom. Robbie E pokes at him, and he pokes at him, and he puts down England again. Then you realize Rob Terry, of course, is from England, so Robbie T gets angry, And Robbie backtracks and says, no, bro, you're fine. It's not you, it's everyone else. So, of course, Robbie T is pretty much American at this point anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He throws the notebook at Park, and he makes the challenge for open fight night. Personally, I like Robbie E. I really do. Rob Echoes, as a worker, is good. And I watched a lot of his New York stuff, a lot of his indie stuff. And I liked Robbie E. back when he had Cookie in his corner. Now, granted, it was obviously a Snooki ripoff, but everybody that knows me knows that I think that Becky Bayless is the most beautiful woman in professional wrestling. And that's just me talking here. Becky Bayless and Valerie Wyndham. I mean, and Melissa Anderson, before I even get to, like, AJ Lee, and pretty much anybody, and obviously another one I'm really big on is Madison Rayne. Oh my god, I love Madison Rayne. That's another story altogether. But here's the thing, I mean, a lot of the TNA knockouts are really pretty, but that's not what I'm talking about. I do miss Becky Bayless being at the side of Robbie E, and I like the way it works. Now, I like the Robbie E and Robbie T demographic as well. Because with Cookie, he had a valet who interfered, did the catfight steez and whatnot. But with Rob Terry by his side, he has a bodyguard who can somewhat work, and an occasional tag team partner. So it works pretty well. And I think Robbie E is headed towards a face turn somewhere down the road. Not exactly sure where you're going to go with it. I think it could happen somewhere. But a lot of fans just love to hate him. But then again, if you've ever been in the Impact Zone, which of course you can't go to anymore apparently, but I mean, we'll get to that later. If you've been in the Impact Zone, Robbie E is really over with crowds, so they just want to cheer him. He really is Zack Ryder, so TNA's version of Zack Ryder, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. So basically Robbie E hits a crossbody and he bounces off Park's ample body there. Robbie E with a punch to the midsection, Park goes to the canvas. Now we go to the finish. Robbie E goes for the corner splash. Park sidesteps it. Park pretty much shakes the ropes, Ultimate Warrior style. And kudos to Todd Kennelly for dropping that line. Even though it was really cliche and out of place, I could appreciate it personally because I would make a reference like that. Maybe not as actual as he did, but I'd hint around a bit. But he did make a Warrior reference. That's exactly what he did. He warriored up. He hit the clothesline. He goes for the corner splash. Robbie E sidesteps. Robbie E follows up. He hits the Magnum TA style belly-to-belly suplex. Goes to the second turnbuckle and splash right off the middle rope. 1, 2, 3. So, interesting. Very interesting. I'm very interested in how it's actually working. So Hogan arrives amongst fanfare, and when we get back to the ring, the new tag team of Austin Aries and Bobby Roode are in the ring, and I love this team. I think this was a great direction to go. And I didn't read any spoilers, and I'm not trying to read spoilers. I didn't want to read spoilers. I found a couple things out because people don't know how to keep their mouth shut. So when I hear spoilers, I try to stay away from them, except for SmackDown, because I watch SmackDown based upon... I mean, I'm recording it right now. I watch SmackDown based upon what's on the show, and I might watch SmackDown in the near future. I haven't quite decided yet, but we'll get to that. So basically, him and Roode are ushering a new era by getting on the same page, finally. Their goal is to collect all the gold in TNA, one title at a time. And they said the first step is to capture the easiest title, and that is the World Tag Team titles. So Roode says they view Chavo Hernandez as a couple of wankers. Yeah, how that works really well. And of course, Chavo Hernandez hit the ring and come out and voice their displeasure with exactly what they were just called. Chavo asks if Aries and Roode are crazy, and he says to earn a tag team title shot, they have to be an actual tag team. Aries says they are an actual tag team, and he puts over the fact that Roode beat Hernandez last week on Impact. Aries asked what Guerrero was suggesting. They said if they can beat either Chavo or Hernandez in a singles match, they will get a shot at the tag team titles, so Chavo accepts. And we get a match that is really awesome between Chavo and Austin Aries. So, science today, it's crazy. But first off, before we get started, this match, number one, I want it to go longer. Number two, I want it on pay-per-view. And number 3, this feud needs to continue for this specific reason. So we get to I'll go right to the finish. So, Aries goes for the headlock, he lets go, and Guerrero hits the corner. He fights back again, Aries with a back body drop. He goes to the top rope, mocks Guerrero, goes for his own version of the frog splash, which looks phenomenal, by the way. And Chavo rolls out of the way, drop kick, and Guerrero begins his comeback. He starts beating up Aries in the corner. Float over into a very awkward-looking back body drop that Aries barely got over on. He goes for the suplex, and Aries escapes, spinning heel kick for a 2 count. Chavo goes for 3 amigos, all 3 suplexes, goes for the frog splash. He hits the pin, but Bobby Roode comes in, distracts the referee, and while the referee is distracted, Aries hits the IUD in the corner, which is the corner drop kick, goes right for the brainbuster, and a clean finish. Austin Aries gets the pinfall, and next week on TNA Impact, you're going to see Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Hernandez put the TNA World Tag Team titles on the line against the It Factor, Bobby Roode, and Austin Aries. Well, I'm figuring out a name for them. I need to do it before someone else does, because there's no internet reviewer that has come up with a name for them yet, so I'm working on it. I mean, I heard heel money. I don't like that. That's lame. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to use, so give me some time, and hopefully by the next TNA Impact recap, next Friday, I'll have an idea of what to call him. So Bully Ray is walking and texting backstage. Brooke shows up and says, "My dad's here." So they said, "Let's go." But before that, of course, I'll tell you right now, like I said, it is time to give Aries and Roode the tag team titles, and I think TNA's listening to me, obviously. But I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about that next week when we have the tag team title match, which of course has already been taped, so if you want the results, you can go find them on the internet anywhere. But just watch the show, honestly. So Kurt Angle is shown backstage with his BFFs, Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe, and of course Samoa Joe. And Joe guarantees Angle he's going to be him. It'll be him and Mr. Anderson one-on-one tonight, regardless. Briscoe and Bischoff say, "I got your back, brother," and Joe basically yells at them and says he's going to handle this himself. Joe walks off and Briscoe asks what's his deal. Angle says, it's just Joe being Joe, and he'll see them out later tonight. So, basically, to make the long story short, Bully Ray comes out with Brooke, and Sting comes out, and pretty much this whole segment was basically done just so they could bring Bully Ray back. But yes, Bully Ray is reinstated. So, we'll get to that. That's what we're going to happen. And that was the way to set up the rest of this. So Hogan basically says it's all about family and business. But this time, he did the right thing for family when he walked Brooke down the aisle on Impact. Now he's going to do the right thing for business. By reinstating Bully Ray, he's also making a match for next week. You're going to see 2 members of Aces and Eights, which are later revealed to be Doc and Devon, which I called specifically, taking on Sting and Bully Ray in a tables match. That's going to be awesome. So they put over the UK crowd a whole lot in this segment, and it made sense, because this is a big crowd. TNA did a really good draw. They didn't do a sellout, but they did really well, honestly, and it's a great crowd. And I hope when Impact goes to Chicago for its first live taping outside of the Impact Zone, since going full live to tape all the time on the road, hopefully the crowds follow as well. But Velvet Sky came out, and right after that, we had a commercial break. And after the commercial break, Dixie Carter made the official announcement, just what I alluded to a second ago. TNA is taking Impact on the road and out of the Impact Zone starting in March in Chicago. So, me being able to see TNA at Universal anymore may not be happening, which sucks, but I got to go to 5 Impact shows. I got to see a lot of tremendous action. I got to see a lot of great talent over and over again in some things. Luckily, I finally get to see Christopher Daniels work in December last year. So, I pretty much saw everybody I wanted to see. wrestle, so that was fine. I mean, I didn't get to see Mr. Anderson, and I didn't get to see Rob Van Dam, but I saw Rob Van Dam in ECW, and I saw Mr. Anderson in WWE, so pretty much seen everybody I want to see. But if Impact comes back, hopefully it will. I even got Gallows and Joey Ryan, so it was awesome. And TNA is amazing, especially at the Impact Zone, but I understand it's time for a change, and it's nice to get out of the Impact Zone. So kudos to TNA for making this decision. Kudos to TNA for also dropping the pay-per-views as well, down to a select number of pay-per-views a year, not doing 12 a year like WWE does. Pay-per-view overkill, allowing for more storylines on Impact, longer televised matches, and give you a reason to care about the pay-per-view other than the fact that, hey, it's the end of the month, let's do a pay-per-view. Well, we already have 3-hour Raw, that's fine, we do a 3-hour pay-per-view, no problem. Same thing. But anyway. So, Velvet comes out, and she basically calls out both Tara and Mr. Spectacular. And Jesse Goddard comes out, and he pretty much says nothing, as he always does. He just stands there and poses. And that's how it works for him, because it works. And they come to the ring, and they said she doesn't want a handicap match, and they call out her partner. TNA Originals unite, as the Cowboy James Storm makes his way to the ring. And we go to the end of the match. It's not a very long match, actually. So, Goddard goes to the body slam, and Storm slips out, hits closing time, and then, of course, ends up hitting the code breaker. Naramichi Marufuji on line 1. Sorry, Chris Jericho. Nice to see you back on Raw, though. Anyway, Sky hits a hot tag, takes Tara down with the head scissors, satellite head scissors takeover, hits the Russian leg sweep, or in this case, the Big Apple leg sweep, 1-2 kick out, kicks. Tara goes to kick Velvet Sky in the midsection, goes for the waist lock, slips out, sends Tara into Jesse, knocking him off the ring apron. Goddard tries to come in, and Storm nails him with another closing time. This time, like I said, hitting the code breaker version. So it's not the same move, guys, unless you want to call it closing time 1 and closing time 2. Sorry, Todd, you blew that call really bad. Tara got up in Storm's face. Sky catches her with the totally awesome Dark Lotus, or if you want to call it, in your face. Thank you, Velvet, for stealing my backyard wrestling finisher. I very much appreciate it. 1, 2, 3, and we get the match. But that's the question. Does that mean that Velvet Sky is going to get a shot at the Knockouts Championship now? I guess we'll see very soon. I know the answer to this question, but I'm not going to tell you. So keep watching Impact, and you'll see what's going to happen with the Knockouts title. I mean, wasn't a bad match, honestly, overall. I mean, she's getting better progressively. It's not saying much, but you got to see the old Velvet Sky tonight. She didn't have her curly hair. She had her old hair. She had her old gear. She had her old gimmicks. She pretty much worked like she used to. And obviously, the right tag team partner in this match, when they set this up, would have been Chris Sabin. But Chris Sabin is either still injured, not wanting to come back on television, or a combination of both. So they went with James Storm, and that's fine, because James Storm and Velvet Sky work okay together as an on-screen, not necessarily a couple, but friends, I guess you could use that. So not bad. It was a little bit better than it was last week. And like I said, they brought up, or after commercial break, they brought up the fact that Jeff Hardy was attacked by the Aces and Eights. That's the reason why he couldn't make it for the UK tour. We know why Jeff Hardy can't make it on the UK tour. It's because of drugs. But Jeff Hardy has done a complete 180. Yes, Benedict in The Last Action Hero. He's done a complete 180. He has totally switched everything around. He cares about wrestling again. He's in the best shape of his career, and he is completely clean. And it's awesome to see Jeff Hardy back to full form where he belongs. And he yet definitely is the cornerstone of TNA. And unlike John Cena, not getting tired of Jeff Hardy being the cornerstone of the company, because it works. And he sells gimmicks, he sells merch, and that's great for the company. And he puts on great matches against tremendous superstars. Like I said, him and Chris Daniels need to have more matches in the very, very near future. So, pretty much, we get to the fact that Hardy had an MRI, and we'll find out more about his condition next week. It's basically a hanger-on to decide to tune back in if you're a Jeff Hardy fan. I'm sure a lot of TNA fans are, obviously, in the Impact Zone. I realize there's a buttload of Jeff Hardy fans. But, pretty much, the cage is now set up, and we're going on to the main event. Now, before the main event, Mr. Anderson comes backstage and he says Aces and Eights have shown more brotherhood to him than anyone has in the 3 years he's been in the company. He says he's ready for tonight and tells Angle he won't be leaving in the same condition he's arriving in. Okay. Right after that, we cut to Samoa Joe down. Samoa Joe is down in the locker room. He's been attacked. Kurt Angle checks on him, and he leaves to head out for his match. And Wes and Garrett said, "Don't worry, we'll get this. We'll call a doctor." Gee, I wonder who jumped Samoa Joe. Let's fast forward and find out. So, Mr. Anderson comes out to the ring through the crowd. Ken's gotta love the fact right now that he doesn't have to wear gear anymore. He's got the beanie, he's got the Aces and Eights vest, he's got a white t-shirt, he's got a pair of boots, not wrestling boots either, and jeans, so he doesn't have to wear gear anymore. So he could just come in off the street if he wanted to. But he's still using his Mr. Anderson theme because it's awesome. So next week's show will feature... Nothing really announced for next week's show, honestly. So the only way I could find that out is if I read the spoilers, and I'm staying away from them. So Kurt Angle comes to the ring with Wes Briscoe, and we've got our main event. So let's fast forward through the match. And I'm going to call it Thanks to 411 Mania. 411 Mania, just exactly like I see it. So Anderson jumps him right at the bell. He goes to rights and lefts to Angle's midsection. Suplex block, takedown, elbow, and Anderson goes for an early pinfall attempt but only gets a 2 count. Angle fights back, but he drives the knee into the midsection. Angle gets the elbowed up during the corner splash, and second rope missile dropkick. Angle's missile dropkicks are very strange to see because they don't always hit the mark, but they still knock the guy down, so I guess it works. Angle ducks the clothesline, release German suplex, Angle drops the strap, so obviously we're going home real quick. Hits up the Angle slam, Anderson slips out, fireman's carry into the Finley roll, and 2 count only. Anderson sends Angle into the cage, goes for the elbow drop, Anderson tries to send him into the cage again, Angle reverses, Anderson hits the cage, and the Angle slam, and both men are down. So Anderson's working him over in the corner, chokes him with the boot, he climbs the cage again, Angle runs up, Angle slam from the top rope, right from the top of the cage to the mat, and it looked awesome. Double down, and Angle requires. He recovers to go for the cover, only gets the 2 count. Anderson gets up, hits the mic check, near fall, out of nowhere. Tremendous right there. So Anderson goes for a pin, double legging the legs. 1-2 and a kick out. Anderson tries to escape, and powerbomb from the top rope. Angle goes for the ankle lock, grapevining the leg, and Anderson taps out, and there's your win. What a great 15-minute match between Ken Anderson and Kurt Angle. And I'll tell you right now, these two really need to have a lot more matches together. These two need to have a blood feud, and I think it's going to happen somewhere down the road. But Angle really didn't need to tap Anderson out, and Anderson needed to look stronger in this match. But it didn't happen. It doesn't say the Aces and Eights don't look strong, because Aces and Eights member was climbing the cage, and Briscoe unlocked the door, so Briscoe stepped in the ring, locked the cage, so they could destroy the Aces and Eights member as soon as he gets over the top of the cage and enters the ring. The member takes off his mask, and lo and behold, they finally did it. Garrett Bischoff finally revealed as a member of Aces and Eights. So Angle and Briscoe are dumbfounded. They look at each other, and Angle rushes at Bischoff. Excuse me, I've scrubbed my eyes there. It's a long night. Briscoe clips his knee from behind, Brian Pillman style, and takes his jacket off, and bam! Aces and Eights vest. He finally doesn't have to have his hair up anymore. He can have it wild and crazy like he always does when he does the Aces and Eights run-ins. And they double team Angle, and we fade. So, it was fine. I liked the show overall. Really was. All about storylines. Basically, to just prolong storylines. The finally finally turning Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe, revealing them as aces and eights after forever this hanging over their heads. Finally done tonight. Bully Ray reinstated. Of course, Dixie Carter making the announcement the Impact's getting out of the Impact Zone and going on the road full time. Basically what they're going to do is they're going to film a live episode and then they're going to film the next week taped right after. So it's kind of like the Superstars tapings of old or old WWF Monday Night Raw tapings. And great matches between Aries and Chavo. Awesome match there. And Anderson and Angle really gave it to each other in the cage. So that's going to be awesome. Next week, of course, the one match they did announce is going to be the tables match with Bully Ray and Sting against Doc and Devon. That'll be good. 4 guys that definitely know what they're doing in the ring, and it's going to be interesting to see them get hardcore. Sting proved with his feud with Abyss, using tacks and taking barbed wire, that he can definitely be hardcore. And he can definitely stand toe-to-toe with these 3 hardcore superstars. Now, I don't necessarily would call Luke Gallows a hardcore superstar, but he knows how to take his share of bumps. So, it's going to be good. And TNA, of course, staying in the UK next week for the next, I think, 3 weeks of Impacts. We're going to be in the UK. So, come March, we'll go back to Chicago for the first night. And that's going to be really interesting to see what happens in Chicago for the first ever TNA Impact of the new, I guess you call it a season? I don't really call it a season, but of the new year. That's live. So, don't really have a letter grade. I'm not going to steal that gimmick, but I enjoyed the show. It was really good to prolong storylines. Some of the matches were really good. Some of the matches, not the greatest, but not bad. So, focus more on match quality and keep the storylines consistent and keep fans aware of exactly what's going on, and the pay-per-views will sell very well. When we get to Lockdown on March 10th, we're really going to figure it out. So by the next 4 weeks of television, and then Impact in Chicago, we're really going to know exactly what's going to happen at Lockdown. And Lockdown matches are on the internet, but I don't want to read those yet. So I'm going to watch Impact just like everyone else. And that's my Impact review. And tomorrow, I don't know what the video is going to be yet. But, you know, as usual, I will figure something out. It might end up being AJ's movie reviews, if I have those done in time. It might be a collaborative video with Will. Anything's really possible. So I'm going to get off here. Wait a minute, what day is it? It's Saturday. You know, I don't even know what day it is anymore. You know what tomorrow is? Plus and minus Disney's Hollywood Studios. So until tomorrow, that's all I got to say about that.